Around that here, I'm trying to write game.
Well, you must be very well named.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. It's an excellent crowd, and we have an excellent occasion. I'm Dave Post, the president of the Structural Products Division, and I would like to personally welcome all of you here today, and especially our veterans. As we, the employees of the Structural Products and the Beth Forge Division of the Bethlehem plant, honor those who have served in our nation's armed forces. Before we get into the meat of the program, I'd just like to make a few comments regarding the memorial that you're about to see. The dedication that went into this project will soon be obvious. It is an absolute labor of love and an example of the initiative and skills of the Bethlehem plant worker. It really is the spirit of America at work. Our people, our employees, had an idea and a desire to build a memorial to our veterans. They were volunteering their time, their talent, and their spirit. And we wanted to support that idea, and it has resulted in a joint cooperative effort. And I believe that you will agree that what you see here today will be a worthwhile and a meaningful memorial to our veterans. A memorial that will stand permanently on that prominent site as a reminder for all of us to pay tribute to those who answered our nation's call to duty. Duty that allows us to stand here today as free men and women. And before we get on to the rest of the program, I would like to acknowledge some of the key guests that are here today to also commemorate this occasion. First, we have Mr. Gene Sally, the Director of the Veterans Affairs for the Lehigh County. Gene is here on my left. Don Williams, the Director of the Department of Veterans Affairs of the Northampton County. Don is on the right. Dwight Edwards, who's the Director of the Vietnam Veterans Health Initiative Center in Harrisburg, intended to be here, however, he sends his regrets. We have a truly special guest, distinguished guest this afternoon, Mr. William Laubach, Fountain Hill, Pennsylvania, founding father of the American Legion Post 406, a World War I veteran, 95 years old, serving 71 years in the Army. That truly does deserve the standing ovation you gave him. Mrs. Lynn Beddix, head nurse of the VA clinic, Allentown, Pennsylvania. Lynn is the holder of a Bronze Star for service in intensive care and has served in Vietnam from 1969 to 1970. We have 5 representatives from the VFW Post 4714, that's Northampton. Mr. Paul DiLorenzo is the Senior Vice Chairman, and Paul is out here somewhere. You might put your hand up, Paul, right there in uniform. Thank you for coming. The Greater Lehigh Valley Chapter for ex-POWs is represented this afternoon by Mr. Les Schoonover, the commander, and he's here, I believe. Les, right down there. Thank you. And also two members of the Greater Lehigh Valley chapter. Joe Correll, a retiree of the Bethlehem Steel, 40-year employee. We stayed alongside him. And Amanda Schaefer, a retiree with 30 years of service. Amanda's is right there. So we welcome you. Thank you for coming. John Dorward, commander of VFW Post 855 in Bethlehem, here is an active 40-year employee of Bethlehem Steel in the carpenter trade, and John is here somewhere, right down there in uniform. Thank you, John. Representative Bill Ryback sends his regrets, but he also sends Dave Wallach, his legislative assistant, to the Pennsylvania House of Representatives. Dave is here somewhere, I believe. Was. I'd like to also acknowledge Mr. Dave Landers, Vice President of Local 2598 and an active member of our Employee Assistance Program and counselor, and a Navy veteran. Dave is here also somewhere. There he is, way back there. Just came off work with his hard hat on. I see Les Clore, he's the chairman of the Grievance Committee for the Bethlehem plant, and he's here. I saw him earlier, and I'd like to recognize him and his attendance and acknowledge his presence. Les Clore. Also would recognize Steve Donchis, the Vice President of State and Government Affairs for Bethlehem Steel. He's around somewhere, if he raised his hand, over here, directing traffic. Now, at this point in time, at this point in the program, I was to introduce Mr. Walt Williams, the Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of Bethlehem Steel. Literally, at this moment, he's in an airplane between Washington, D.C. and Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Walt will be here. He will be here because he was invited by the committee, and he accepted because he wanted to be here. And I know Walt will be here. The only thing I know that what kept him here, from here this morning, is business involving the VRAs. And that's where he was this morning, involved in what apparently was a lengthy meeting at the cabinet level, working on behalf of the VRAs, and that and the weather caused a little delay. He intends to be here, and we will just push him back to the end of the program if we may. We also have a distinguished guest present on the platform. We're indeed honored to have the mayor of the city of Bethlehem, Mr. Ken Smith. Mayor Smith, I know the mayor had a full schedule of activities and planned for today, but when he received the invitation to make him a part of our ceremony, he immediately did some juggling in order to be here. We appreciate his interest, and after hearing his comments, I'm sure there will be no doubt why he considers this ceremony and dedication so important to him personally and to the city of Bethlehem. The Honorable Mayor Ken Smith.
Thank you, Dave, and thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for inviting me to be a part of this important day. And it is an important day. Not only an important day for you who are involved with the Bethlehem Steel Corporation, but an important day for all of us here in Bethlehem. And I want to thank you personally for inviting me to participate in this kickoff, so to speak, of our Memorial Day ceremonies in the city of Bethlehem. I am a veteran too, and I know what a tribute like this can mean to the men and women who serve in our armed forces and those who served before. There were times when I was aboard ship in the Western Pacific and in the Mediterranean when I too wondered if my being there really meant anything and whether anyone really cared. I had the privilege of serving in the Navy from 1962 to 1967. I was in the Gulf of Tonkin. At the time the war was escalated, I was aboard a destroyer. I think it takes something like this from fellow veterans to make you realize that there are people who will never forget. But I have to tell you that foremost in my thoughts today are the people who came up with this idea and turned an idea into a wonderfully artistic and patriotic monument. When you see this monument, you're going to know that a lot of emotion went into the making of it. I've had the privilege of previewing it, and personally, I've never seen in a single monument a more striking tribute to America's armed forces and the wars they fought in the name of democracy and freedom. And you'll note, as I did with particular interest, the segment of this monument which is dedicated to women and their traditional role alongside our fighting men. Too often, we've overlooked the contributions of women in the military, both in peacetime and in times of war. And of course, you'll note also that there's a part of the monument which is dedicated to our missing in action. God willing, someday all of America's war dead will be accounted for, and the minds of their wives, their children, their families will be put to ease. The fact that a monument like this could be built right here in Bethlehem by steelworkers from the Bethlehem plant is noteworthy in itself. But I have to tell you, I'm particularly pleased that this monument is going to be a permanent fixture here in our city of Bethlehem on the south side. The park-like setting will make it a perfect spot for passersby to pause and to admire this wonderful work of art. Again, I thank you for inviting me here to participate, and above all, thank you for this great and timely tribute to America's servicemen and servicewomen. Happy Memorial Day, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and I'm sure and be assured that many of us share your thoughts and comments. And now I would like to introduce Mr. Don Trexler. Don is a millwright here in the Bethlehem plant, and he's also a veteran of Vietnam. He's also a member of our plant's Veterans Committee, which really is the group that has been responsible for this entire effort. He's going to give some background on how this whole thing came about and tell you a little about the memorial, the effort that went into it, and what it means for the men and women who served in our armed forces. A true volunteer and a true member of the Spirit of America, Don Trexler.
Thank you, Dave. First and utmost, I have to thank the committee members who elected me the spokesperson. As Dave said, it's a project that started out, believe it or not, under the suggestion of Mr. Bob Burt, as a few plaques around the base of a flagpole within the plant. When a committee was formed and they started to barnstorm and think up several ideas of how to decorate the base of our flagpole, it was immediately decided that was not good enough. Within the plant, at the base of a flagpole, most of our employees would never see it, let alone the public. So with some deliberation and research, the spot we're going to look at today was decided upon and graciously permitted. The committee got together and they started to think, what should it look like? What do we want to make? Will it be a little plaque? Will it be what you'll see later? With the help of a graphic artist, Howard Breisch, and men's ideas, it poured forth. Enthusiasm grew. You couldn't help but feel moved. It evolved into what we're going to see. I'm not really that much of a speaker. The committee did this in such a way that, to the fellow employees, it was not done under normal conditions. The men on the committee felt they had the ability to build it, construct it, present it. As it grew, so did the committee's needs. We had to borrow information, technology, advice, and assistance from many, many groups within our plan. It expanded constantly to what it is now. And I'm proud to say, as I stand here today, not only a veteran, but a steelworker, that the people within this Bethlehem plant responded. From top-level management right down through the bottom to the laborers that dug the foundation. No matter where we turned as a committee and asked for assistance, all we got was, what can I do? How can we help? It was a feeling that I personally found very gratifying. We can pick up the newspaper and we can look at articles, and the steelworkers maybe don't always get looked upon favorably. But today I have to say, I'm proud to be a steelworker. I'm proud of the people that are standing to my right that work with me. And when you see what we've come to present, I'm sure you'll feel the same way. We used materials that we produce within our plants. We wanted it to be a monument that when someone looks at it, you know it's steel. And with that in mind, we set forth. The basic beam and back plates are Mariar, a steel that rusts so far and then lasts indefinitely. The silhouettes which you'll see on the face are cut out of stainless steel. The POWMIA plaque is brass, made right here in our brass foundry. It just was a total effort from a lot of people. Too many to even begin to name. But it was an effort that would make anyone proud. I have to, at this time, thank Mr. Post, his entire staff, and the management of our plant for allowing us not only the time, the facilities, and the equipment to complete this project, but also the encouragement to carry it through. I have to make a special note that in the center of our memorial, you will note a POWMIA plaque. And we as a committee and a group wish that to be the central theme. We do want to remember. I have 3 children of my own, and I would imagine the hardest thing to conceive would be misplacing one of them and not ever knowing where they are or what they are, how they are. So with that in mind, as you look at it, that was our central, utmost design in the center of the memorial. Also, when we made this memorial, we wanted it to be what I call an everyone memorial. Not just the particular periods which we're going to witness, but whether it was peacetime, wartime, everyone who ever wore the uniform and served in the armed forces of the United States, we want it to be their memorial. We want every person that travels this street and looks at it that ever served in the armed forces to feel, I'm a part of it. And you'll note in the wording when you see it, we took care to do it that way. At this time, I think we'll be ready to start with unveiling. And but this time I'll make my way across with Mr. Williams, and we're going to unveil this to give you an opportunity to see it. Our honor guard will then give us a salute with taps, but it will not be over. We will return back to the podium for further speakers. So please bear with us as we travel this short distance. Thank you.
Say okay? Yeah. Ready? Well, there you go. I think you're ready.
The magazine. 3-point round. Go. Ready. Hey. Fight. Ready. Hey. Fight. Order! Arm! Help! Hey! Out! Arm! Forward! Out!
Real well. Why don't you subscribe and go? I'm gonna give you bad press.
And I would say that I too am proud. You indicated you were proud to be a steel worker, and I too am proud to work alongside of you and the employees of the Bethlehem plant that you represent. I note that you said you weren't accustomed to speaking, and I would suggest that you and your committee have done your speaking with that tremendous memorial over there and the results of your effort. I told you he was here because the committee invited him, and he accepted because he wanted to be here. He has a special interest in this memorial because Walt, too, is a veteran, and he's very proud of it. He did serve in the U.S. Army from 1951 to 1953 and attained the rank of first lieutenant. During that Korean War, he served 12 months on active duty in Korea with the 45th Infantry Division as a forward observer and observation officer, during which time he received the Bronze Star. I'm glad he made it. A real veteran, Walt Williams.
Thank you, Dave, and I really am pleased to be here. I've got to say, when we unveiled the memorial over there, it chokes you up. A lot of us have a lot of friends that didn't come back, and that would help us remember them. Over the many years, the Bethlehem plant employees have certainly played a key role in the defense of our nation, not only by producing the vast amounts of arms and steel for America's defense needs, but also by making personal sacrifices, and often the ultimate sacrifice, through service in our country's armed services. It is a long history of service that is a source of much pride, both in the mills and in our community. In peacetime, it's easy to forget the unselfish contributions of our nation's servicemen and servicewomen. World War I, World War II, and even Korea happened so long ago that memories fade, and younger people learn of them only through the history books. And many will say that America forgot about the Vietnam War while it was happening. Thankfully, we still have a Memorial Day, and we still have many among us who will always remember in spite of the passage of time.
So today we are dedicating a visible reminder of how important it is for all of us and those who follow us not to forget that America's freedom did not come cheaply. Through the efforts of the steelworkers here in the Bethlehem plant, we have the opportunity, just a few days before Memorial Day, to gather and pay tribute to all past and present members of the Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Coast Guard, and all the other branches of service that contributed so much to the history of our country. What you see was conceived, designed, and constructed by American steelworkers. It is not only a labor of love, but a piece of true American art, inspired by our nation's proud military traditions and the loyalty and the service of its many, many veterans. You all should note, too, that right in the middle and the top is a special space on this memorial dedicated to the Americans who never returned from Korea and from Vietnam, our MIAs, our missing in action people. God willing, someday they may all be home with us. This, then, is not just a memorial to Bethlehem plant veterans. Its significance extends far beyond our plant gates. It's the highest tribute that could be paid to veterans because it was built and the idea came from veterans. So I personally congratulate everyone who worked on this memorial and had a hand in this project. And as a Korean War veteran myself, I feel that I can speak for all veterans and tell you it's nice to be remembered. Thank you.
Thank you, Walt. We have one more special person to hear from. Paul Cochise is an hourly employee at Bethlehem Plant and representative on our Plant Employees Assistance Program. He is one who has spearheaded the formation of the Plant Veterans Committee, and Paul would just like to share some closing remarks with you. Paul.
Thank you, everybody. Before I go on what I want to say, there's a gentleman by the name of Steve Drovich. Is he here? Steve dedicated this book, or donated this book, to our program. It's going to stand in front of the memorial. What it is a directory of the names of the Vietnam veterans who were killed in action. Steve, would you come up and take this book? We're going to have a special platform made for this book to stand in front of. Also, we have a Gold Star mother by the name of Ann Dottie. Would she come forward with, I'm going to call him by the name of Popeye Dorwit, because that's what I know him by in the plant. They're both going to take a flower over to the memorial and present it in front of the memorial. Would you two, all three of you, go over there? Thank you very much. As Donnie Trexler said, he's not a public speaker. Well, neither am I. I'm just a guy who talks a lot, so I'm going to do a lot of talking. Dave, this project was not done by one person. It was done by many people, and I'd like to give recognition to the committee. But one thing I do want to recognize is It was a cooperation between management and union. Without the cooperation there, this project could have never gotten off the ground. We had a good committee, and I'd like to recognize each man. First man is Charles Shankweiler, Leo Kime, Bill Seidel, Howard Bryce, Robert Berkey, Lou Falcone, Ray Rosati, Rich McLaughlin, Don Trexler, John Salatwa, and myself. Thank you. As Donnie Trexler said, there was a lot of people in the plant who helped. To name them all would be impossible. But every time we went into a department with a piece of one of those pieces, and we'd have a man, I'd walk up to him, I'd say, we got to have this sandblasted right away. I'd say, no problem, I'll do it during my lunch hour or my lunch break. I'll forget my coffee break. And they did all this. But a couple people that definitely got to be remembered, because without their support behind it, wouldn't even gotten off the ground. One of them is Chunko. That's all I know him by. He's a man. I know these guys in the plant, so when I say Chunko, he knows who he is. He's out there somewhere. Would you raise your hand, Chunko? John Chunko, I'm sorry. He's out there somewhere. I didn't see his hand come up. Okay, well, he knows who he is. Steve Etzminger, who done quite a bit. Every time I'd walk up to these guys, they'd say, Paul, not you again. You got another problem for us? One guy in a carpenter shop who's a boss in a carpenter shop, he said, every time I see you coming, Paul, he says, I think I'm going to have to make another frame for something. I said, no, not this time. Another guy's name was Schrammy. Is he here? Herb Schramm. Is he here? Okay, he's out there with the green hat. Okay. They deserve a big hand, baby. Without their help. One thing I would like everybody to do, and you don't have to do this today, okay? We hope that you people do come back and just look this thing over and know what the feeling that went in there. Walt Williams said something that really meant the whole thing. He said it was a labor of love, and I'm convinced that's what it was, because, like I said, when I went up to anybody in the plant, in fact, I got phone calls, guys asking me, what can I do? How can I help? I said, well, I don't know what to do. We've got so many people. We're going to be doing a lot of things. We're not going to forget our MIAs. That is our number one issue. We will not forget our MIAs, and we are having some big plans within the future to see just exactly what we can do to get our MIA POWs released. One other thing, I don't want to forget these things. Jean Slade was a former POW in Korea. Lynn Beddix, she's representing all the women who served in the service. One of the reasons why I felt that I did not want the women forgotten. Many years ago, I knew a woman who served in World War II as a nurse. She flew missions from France back to England with many wounded vets. And she happened to tell me one time, she said, Paul, we've all been forgotten. She said, nobody ever remembers what the women do. This is for you, Peg. We didn't forget you. Lynn represents these women. Don Williams was a veteran of World War II, Korea, and Vietnam in the submarine service. Okay? Now, I guess I have one or two other things that I don't want to forget. First, the Korean and Vietnam Memorial Committee of the Lehigh Valley asked me to give this to Walt Williams. Okay? It's a something. Yeah, we would like them to open it up. That goes on your card. Yes, sir. It says, Lehigh Valley, Korea, Vietnam Memorial, we will never forget. We wrap things good for us.
first line, I see one out in the audience here somewhere. We will never forget is on the back and on the front. The two hats with a little gold braid on them. Thank you very much, Paul, and I think this will mean a lot to a lot of people, and it will be a constant reminder, not only of the service the people here have given, but it'll be a constant reminder for us to all remember those that served with us, and we all had friends over there that didn't come back, and we'll always remember them. So thank you.
Now I'd like to turn this back to Dave. Okay, Dave? Okay, thank you, sir.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for taking time to share in this special moment. On behalf of the Structural Products Division, the Beth Forge Division, the management of Bethlehem Steel, and the leadership of the United Steelworkers of America, thank you all for coming, and remind you again that this memorial will be permanently located at this site, where it will be a constant reminder of the sacrifices of the American veteran. Please feel free to take a moment, if you have time, to take a closer look at the memorial. And again, thank you for caring.
I had that trouble before. Now it's in the muscle. Shot the hand couple. There's a stick back. Behind the gray soil. Get my shirt. You could talk. No, I short you. I'm busy. Oh, hey, Ed. Ed Mendez. He wants to see the money. Yeah, Sunday. I don't know. I saw it. I might be here. I'm all right. Frank.
They come out. I'm not too good at it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to start this off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Today we're going to have Lieutenant Colonel Schutz, who's going to give the blessing and consecrate the memorial. Colonel Schutz.
Good morning, everybody. For those of you who do not know me, I'm very happy to say that I am the chaplain of the Memorial Council of the Indiantown Gap National Cemetery. I'm very happy to be here. I've been invited to be here this morning. First of all, I would like to issue a statement of purpose. A concerted effort on the part of a group of dedicated people has brought us to this time and this very place. As we consecrate this beautiful monument this morning, we are taking yet another step in perpetuating the honorable service and the valor put forth by those that it represents. Your prayers have been heard. Your gifts have been blessed. And your plans have been guided. I think it's only appropriate that we take but a minute and bow our heads for a word of prayer. Our Father and our God, we thank you for this great day, for the hopes and dreams that have been fulfilled, creating and erecting this monument. We thank you for putting it into our hearts to erect for the vision and dedication of all who have planned, worked, and sacrificed toward it. We acknowledge that you have made the heavens and the earth and all that is in it. We also acknowledge that the ground on which this great monument stands has already belonged to you. And we believe that only your grace made it possible for this committee to use this land and construct this monument we are about to consecrate. From this place, may the word go forth to the state and yes, to the world, that this is a committee and a community that does care and does remember. We pray in the name of the grand architect of the universe. Amen. Now as we consecrate this monument, I would ask that this monument ever be sacred to the name of God and to everyone who sees it. May this monument be a memorial to those whose sacrifice has become a stairway, if you will, from earth to heaven. Here, at this spot, may the still small voice of those who serve be heard. In this place, may many come to know true patriotism. May God ever be our God, and may we in all that we are, forever hope to be, ever be His. Now, by the authority invested in me by the church, the committee having been prospered by the hand of God and enabled by His grace and power to erect this monument. I now officially consecrate this monument to the honor and glory of Almighty God who created us, God who has redeemed us, and God who sustains us every day of the year. And would you bow your heads to receive the benediction? May God bless you and keep you. May God make His face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May God lift up the light of His countenance upon you and give you His peace. Amen.
Amen.
Next we will have Bill Ryback. Bill Ryback.
Robert Burke. Ladies and gentlemen, my fellow citizens, fellow Americans,
sacrifice so that we can continue to enjoy the freedom that has been offered. But we never really do in protecting those freedoms. And I'm here especially to present two men who dreamed and had the talent to put this thing together, which is so beautiful and outstanding. It's the best ever that I have seen. I think it's the best ever that exists, not only in this community or in this country. We can thank Robert Burke, who had a lot to do with it, and his sidekick here, Paul Coach. As I do this, I present this American flag. I know that I reflect your feelings, your inner feelings. I know that I reflect your sincere belief when I say that I strongly support a constitutional amendment that this American flag will never be burned or desecrated again. That becomes the law of the land. So I present on behalf of the citizens of this community, this state, this country, I present to your representatives, Bob Burke and Paul Coach, this flag, and may it forever wave and reflect the freedoms that we love. And I want to say this, that we're here today to commemorate the independence of the United States of America. And as we do, I can't help but reflect the things that I used to recall when I was a growing boy in the Northampton section of this city of Bethel. I used to think about America. I used to ask myself, what is America? What is this United States? It's a collaboration of all of its people, of all races, of all colors, of all creeds, of all religions, basically all human beings. What is history? The things you and I read about when we were growing up, but a reflection of and the recital of the events of the lives of the men who made it. The pioneers who conquered this country and settled in the West did so by hard work ethic they understood, and perseverance. Where I ask you, is the origin of that perseverance to be found? Certainly not in the air which they breathe, for the air is the same the world over. That perseverance can only be found in the background, in the belief of those pioneers. And you know, when you come to think about it, the same can be said about American history, American sense of fair play, American system of jurisprudence, although it has failed us when it comes to the flag. All these qualities are qualities that came here from other lands. American greatness is therefore directed to these citizens who came here and made it what it is. I have every belief and every confidence that the state of this country is good, that the heart of America is strong, that its soul is sound, that our faith in it will always be eternal. Thank you. God bless all of you. Next, we'll have Chuck Costa, President of the BFW. American patriots, it gives me a great deal of pleasure to participate in these activities this morning. I feel a special interest here. Having served in the Pacific Theater, we have quite a few 2,000 people, or veterans rather, who are not here today. And on behalf of these people, or veterans rather, I would like to present the POWMIA feeling that the U.S. flag, which I'm sure they'll never even think of burning, will carry them through whatever torment they might be experiencing. They have a heavy heart. The Supreme Court made a decision knowing full well we have 2,000 sons and POWs, MIAs over there. And if they ever, God forbid, they ever hear the Supreme Court decision, that should just knock the hell out of their
feelings about what that was. On behalf of these veterans who could not be here today and are probably in some prison there, undertaking hardship and so forth, on their behalf, I'd like to present the POWMIA class. And on behalf of the Joint Veterans Council, of which I am president, I know a lot of hours went into this memorial here, that I had a close relationship with one of the people who was involved in designing this, Howard Bryce. It's always nice to know people who have been involved. And on behalf of the 33,000 veterans, 20 veterans groups in Northampton County, I would like to make this presentation on behalf of the Joint Veterans Council of Forks of the Delaware, awarded the Certificate of Appreciation for Outstanding Service and Contributions to Bethlehem Steel employees on this 4th day of July 1989, signed by Secretary John Horwath and myself, President Charles Buckley. I hope that this is just the start of many awards that you people of Bethlehem will be given. And again, like I say, thank you all for being here this morning. It's been a real pleasure participating. Thanks again. Thank you very much for coming. Everybody happy 4th of July. This is just the beginning. We're going to do everything we can to help get our MIA POW back. In fact, we're planning a big celebration, a big rally in the city of Bethlehem. We're going to do something to get our POWs back. We're going to do it this year. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, sir. How about the whole community? Whatever.
Yeah, that's great.
One more. Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Yep, that's it. Now we got it. Yeah. Give it a shot. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, you know, right away, yesterday and Saturday, I thought maybe something. Oh, okay. My father.
He's still around.